The essential thing when building a pack like this is not to pack all of your fears, just pack your skills. So pack the things that you know how to use, pack the things that you know are gonna work for you and have multi-uses, and it's not gonna be that heavy. You can put it on your back and you don't even have to think about it. There was a term coined in the survival industry called the 5 C's, and anytime I build a kit, I go pretty much off the 5 C's plus a couple extra things. Let's talk about that. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about the base kit that I built specifically for the missionaries. And if you want to build a kit like this, you can build it just like this. So the base kit that the missionaries will be taking will be a Grail water filter, a stainless steel cup with lid, cordage, a military poncho, a poncho liner, a bivvy, and a ferro rod. That is what is going to be in your kit when you get it from me, the kit that you got from me. Now, what do I suggest you add? I suggest you add a lighter. Go ahead in your kitchen junk drawer and grab your Bic lighter. This is just a case, a waterproof case made by a company called Exotac. That is not needed, but it's a Bic lighter. Add that to your kit. We spoke in advance and you guys said that you didn't want a cutting tool because you guys mostly have Leatherman. I suggest adding a Leatherman or a Swiss Army knife. The only thing I really care about in your multi-tool is I want it to have a blade that can fix like that. And I also want it to have a saw. It's gonna have obviously more things, but the saw and the knife is extremely important. I spoke to you guys about this as well, and I'll speak to you guys on YouTube as well about this. Add a headlamp with some extra batteries. I don't like regular flashlights. If you want to have a backup regular flashlight, that's fine on your pocket or your person. But I want a headlamp because I want to be able to be hands-free when I'm working, and if it's the night, I want to be able to work hands-free. And then I just threw some fire starters in here. So this kit doesn't seem like a lot, but having this stuff can save your life. So let's get into how to use some of this. Let's focus on these 5 specific classes here. So let's start with your cutting tool. So your cutting tool is going to be used for gathering wood for fire. I know it might sound funny because it's so small, but this little saw can really do some damage, and you can really acquire a lot of wood using this saw. So just in that short amount of time, you saw how much wood I could collect. Just a minute or so. Very powerful tool to have. Also, with your knife, you can process pretty much anything you have to process. If the wood is wet, so right now the wood is a little wet, you can use your knife to get to maybe a part that is not as wet. You could use it to process game, fillet fish. You can use it to make a frog gig. You can use it to make a spear. You can use it to do almost anything. People have been using knives to do everything for the past ever. Okay, so we spoke about our knife a little bit. Our cutting tool. Now let's speak about combustion. When you're building a kit, you want to put a ferro rod in your kit. I think the first thing you put in your kit, if you only put a ferro rod, that's what I would choose. I would choose a ferro rod over a lighter any day of the week. This is a little cheap ferro rod And I chose this ferro rod on purpose. I have way nicer ones, way thicker ones, but this one will do the job. What you have to do is when you're at home, you have to practice striking your ferro rod and getting those sparks off your ferro rod. Make sure you get good at that. I know we see a lot of people do it on TV. We see a lot of people do it on videos, but you know, there's nothing like you getting it in your hands and doing it yourself. You're going to realize the mechanics of it, and you're going to get used to it. You're going to build muscle memory, and you want to know how to do this stuff. So let's do an example. So I suggest having a fire starter with you. You can find dry tinder material, or if everything is wet, you can split wood to get to dry tinder material. But if you're in a survival situation, I'd rather you just collect as much small material as you can and then use this as your fire starter. And it just started raining, so that's really cool. We'll show you how this works. What I usually do is I take my knife and I'll just split it down the middle here, which you don't need a knife. You can actually just break it in half with your hand. But I find that this works a little bit better. And there'll be a link to these fire starters in the description. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to do what I would do with any tinder material that I have, and that is increase the surface area. So I'm just gonna kind of unroll this, try to get it as increased as possible. And if you took the high risk traveler class, my friend Greg, he mentioned that you can use Vaseline and cotton balls, which is awesome, because if you have cotton balls with Vaseline, you can also use that Vaseline on your lips. You could use it on your skin. You can use it anywhere. So Vaseline and cotton balls are great as well. And you could just put it in a little baggie, and no one is ever gonna ask a question or think twice about Vaseline and cotton balls. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna continue to increase the surface area. And this is how I like to prepare these. So what I would do is I would have my kindling ready. This is what I teach in my biblical bushcraft course. So you want to have your tinder material. If you don't have a man-made fire starter like this, you want to have at least this much tinder material, about the size of a softball. Very dry tinder material. Then you want to have at least this much, like you could grab all of your kindling like this. And that's your pencil lead sized to pencil sized sticks, like that. After that starts burning, you can add sticks that are that big. After that starts going and you have a good coal bed, now you can start to add bigger pieces of wood. Fire hosing you guys here, but I just want to teach you guys a little bit. Keep it pretty simple. So what I like to do when I'm using a ferro rod is I like to scrape off a little bit of the ferrocerium into whatever it doesn't matter. I've done this like this always. Scrape it off and then I strike it. You hear the crackling and I don't want this on my truck for too long. But do you hear the crackling of what I did? That's because I scraped the ferro rod on it first. So you scrape the ferrocerium on it, and then you're gonna hear that. And as you saw, I got it in like 30 seconds. And that fire is pretty sustainable now with the man-made fire starter. So now you could put your kindling material right on top of that. It's gonna start burning very, very quick. If you're using a lighter with this stuff, it works the exact same way. You're just gonna light it with the lighter. Super windy out here, so let me go on my bed in my truck here. There you go. Just like that. Let's look at cordage. What I included in the kits that I made you guys was about 30 to 40 feet of 550 cord cordage. This is just, you know, paracord, as they call it. You can do everything that we're gonna do with just this. A lot of times I use bank line as well, which I showed you in the course, but everything you have to do, you can do with this. As you can see, it's raining pretty good now, so this is a perfect time to set up a shelter. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this, we're gonna make a ridge line, and we're gonna set it up. I like to have my students set up a ridge line shelter in less than 2 minutes. This is very achievable, especially if you have a pre-made ridge line, which I'll show you kind of what you can do to make a pre-made ridge line right now. There's only 4 knots to make a really, really good ridge line. The first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna take off a little bit. You're gonna unravel your paracord. When you get your paracord, it's gonna be raveled like that. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut about a foot long of paracord 3 times. There's 1, there's 2, and there's 3. I like to burn the ends of these so they're not all, so they don't fray. So I burnt all the edges. I'm gonna skip that so you don't gotta watch it. So now the first knot I'm going to teach you guys is the fisherman's knot, which is going to create a loop. Overlap it. Overhand knot. Don't let anyone make this more complicated than it needs to be. I'm sorry, but I see a lot of people trying to make these things way more complicated than they have to be. 2 overhand knots. You've probably been tying these knots for a while anyway. So boom, you got that, boom, pull it together, and you get that. So now we have 3 of these. I like to have 3, and I'm gonna show you why in a second. We're gonna use these to make another knot on our ridge line, which is called a prusik. We're gonna talk about that in a second. But first, let's get our ridge line up. And let me show you the knots I like to use to get the ridge line up. Siberian hitch. So you're gonna go around a tree. Let me make sure I got a good view. I got a decent view. You're gonna go around a tree or whatever. Make sure you leave a bit of tag in. And you wanna make a 4. So you see how that's like a 4 now? Can you kind of see that? Let me put it down a little bit. So you see how I just made like a 4 there? Now what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna turn this over, and you're gonna wanna just grab this, and you're just gonna wanna pull. Siberian hitch. And what's nice about the Siberian hitch is that I can pull on this all day. It's not going anywhere. But if I just grab this little tag right here and pull that, it comes loose. It's quick and it's easy. And I can also put a toggle in there if I feel like I want it to be more secure, but you really don't have to. Let me show you that again. Okay, so I want to make the 4. See how there's a 4 there? You're gonna just turn over here. I just made a loop. Now this tag end here, I'm gonna grab it right there where my thumb is, and I'm just gonna pull. Ugh. That's going nowhere. What's nice about the Siberian hitch, I'll show you one more time. What's nice about the Siberian hitch is that you can do it when you have less dexterity. So let's say you're very cold and you don't have a lot of dexterity. You can do this very simply. You can do this very simply. You can do this very simply, and you can do this very simply. And there you go, you have your Siberian hitch. You can put a toggle in there like I said. But if you have gloves on, let's say you have giant gloves on, you can do this, you can turn that over, you can grab this, and you can make your Siberian hitch. So that is the Siberian hitch. That is what's going to go on one side of your ridge line, okay? Okay, after you practice your Siberian hitch, now we're going to do a very, it's a very common knot. A lot of guys already know it. If you don't, that's fine. And it's just a trucker's hitch. This is how you tie the trucker's hitch, okay? You're gonna feed your paracord around the tree or whatever you're working with, all right? It could be anything. Then here, what you're gonna do is you're gonna make a slip knot. So the way you make a slip knot is you're just gonna make a loop. So we just make a loop, and then we're gonna grab this and we're just gonna pull it through. And we made a slip knot. I'm gonna do that again, so just don't worry about it. What the trucker's hitch does, let me take a second to tell you, it uses mechanical advantage. So now when I put this side of this in here and I begin to pull, I'm going to have a 3-to-1 advantage. So now when I start pulling here, I have a very, I can pull this really taut. 3 times as taut as I can pull it if it was just around there. I'm using mechanical advantage to pull this taut. Let me show you this slip knot again, because I need a little bit more anyway. So, hope I'm catching this. All right, yeah, there, I got it. So to make the slip knot, all you gotta do is you're gonna create a loop. Turn it around, create a loop, and then you're just gonna grab the tag end, and you're just gonna pull. And your slip knot could be any different, it could be different sizes, but there you go. Quick slip knot, not the band. Now, you pull your tag end through, and you create that tension on the line that makes it very, very taut. Very taut. Toit like a tiger. So now, I don't want to miss this. I think you can see that. I hope you can see that. So now what you're gonna do is you're gonna wanna pull that as taut as you want. Then you're just gonna wanna apply a little bit of tension to here and hold it. What you can do is you can make an improved trucker's hitch, which means you put this through again and then you can pull it and then it'll just add that tension for you. I usually don't. Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna create a loop with this side here, your tag end. And then when you create that loop, you're just gonna put it over and pull it through this little hole you just made here. And then you're just gonna pull it down. And there you go, trucker's hitch. Now, that's going nowhere. I can pull on that as hard as I want, and it's going nowhere. You can throw a little toggle in here, and if you want to be extra safe. But to be honest, you don't even have to do that. That's going nowhere. Let's do that again to make sure I got it on camera. So, quick slip knot. Put this through. We're gonna apply that tension there. You guys can see this. Apply that tension. Pinch this so we don't lose our tension. Make a loop. As we make that loop, it's going to make, you're gonna see right here, it's going to make a small opening. So we're gonna throw the loop over and into that opening there. And then we're just going to cinch it tight. And boom. Now, like I said, we could put a toggle here if we want. And there's the trucker's hitch. You can now tie your kayaks to your truck or make a ridgeline. The prusik knot is perhaps the most simple of all the knots, but it's extremely powerful. I like to tie 3 prusiks on my ridgeline here. The way you tie a prusik is let's do it this way. You take it, you put your loop right on the line, you put it through once, you put it through twice, you put it through 3 times, and then you're gonna pull it. But when you pull it, make sure like it comes together nicely. So now it's nicely there, and let's show you. You see that? See that? That's how you want your prusik to look. And when I pull this way, it's going nowhere. Ugh. If I pull this way, it's going nowhere. But if I just gently move it, it goes wherever I want. And that's what you want from your prusik. Pull it this way, it doesn't go anywhere. Pull it this way, it doesn't go anywhere, but you can prusik. I love these skills because you can just practice. You have a good time. 1, 2, 3. You make sure it's tidy. You pull here. Boom. Prusik. You can move it, but if you try to do this, it won't move. Okay, so now we have our ridgeline set up. I got a bunch of those sticks that I cut with my saw. And we're gonna attach our poncho to this ridgeline. I'm gonna make specific videos explaining all of these processes in more detail, but this bulk video will give you kind of the general idea. And also, we're gonna be teaching in-person classes where you could get hands-on experience doing all of these things. But right now, I just wanna give you guys a general idea of what's going on. We're gonna grab one of these sticks. We're gonna place one of these prusiks through the eyelet of the poncho or the tarp, whatever you got. And you're gonna see why we tied these prusiks the way we did. Now we're gonna grab another stick. Good one. We're gonna bring one of these prusiks over. We're gonna put it through the eyelet. And now we can pull these taut. And this is the power of the prusik knot. I can pull this completely taut. And now we have this all set to go. Now, through the eyelets in the back of your poncho, you can stake it in with a stick. You just gotta find a stick that'll fit. This one looks like it will. You can sharpen it a little bit with your knife, but most of the time, if the ground's soft enough, you can just throw it right in there. So, just gonna throw this in the ground here. And then, we're gonna find another stick that's suitable, which this one looks good. And you could get this shelter up in an emergency very quickly. Guard you from the rain, guard you from the wind. Lean-to shelter to protect you from the rain or the sun or whatever is protecting you from. You can get in there with your other cover elements. So you have your emergency bivvy. Which you can also use as a mattress of sorts. So this is pretty heavy duty stuff. You get pine boughs, spruce browse. You can fill it up. You can just fill it up with dry debris if there's debris around. And if you create a mattress, a pretty thick mattress, what that's gonna do is it's going to battle conduction from the ground. So when you just lay on the cold ground, you're gonna experience something called conduction, which is the temperature of the earth pulling from the temperature of your body. So what we wanna do is we wanna maintain our core body temperature, and this is gonna help you out a lot. If it's a hotter day like today, you don't gotta worry about that, but I just wanna mention that if you lay on cold ground or wet ground, even if it seems like it's not that cold out, 55 degrees will zap you pretty good. So you might wanna fill this up with something and put it down there. Just wanna mention that. And like I said, guys, comment section below, if you wanna see any examples of this stuff, I would love to make those videos for you. You put that down there, and in your kit is included one of these swagman rolls, which can be used in conjunction with the poncho So you could either put this on just like this, and then you could put the poncho over it, and you could just hunker down by a tree if you need to. Whatever your situation is going to be different every single time. We can only plan as much as we can. You know, we have to attack the situation that we're in when we're in it. And this is warm. I'm getting warm just by wearing this. So in your kit, you're going to get one of these, and you also have a poncho. They're both going to be black. So now you have a place where you can hunker down. If it's raining pretty hard, you can pull this ridge line down, get more coverage. If it's really cold, you can make a fire one step away from your shelter right there, and it's gonna heat it up pretty good. You're gonna be in pretty good shape, guys. Last but certainly not least, you have to have a way of purifying water. This is what I recommend. In the beginning of the video, I said I'm not gonna be brand specific with a lot of things. This, I am brand specific. There is a couple different, not a couple, a lot of different manufacturers that make water filters. I choose the Grail. Why do I choose the Grail? It not only battles bacteria, but it battles viruses and protozoa, which is a huge deal, especially when you're in another country. The way you use this, you pull it apart, you have your cup here, then there's this reservoir here that holds the water, and this is the filter. I just have a puddle here. You go to your water source, get some water. Try not to get a lot of sediment and debris. Just gonna try to get some water there. Okay, we got some water. Looks pretty good. It's rainwater. Now what you're gonna do, you got your water there. All you have to do is take your filter, make sure your cap is open, or it's gonna be really hard to push down. And you're just gonna push that water down, filtering it into that reservoir. Now, I see it coming into the reservoir there. And boom, that water is ready to drink. It actually tastes good. It's not bad water. If you get water from a place that is not as tasty, it's not gonna take the taste away, but your water is gonna be safe to drink. This is good water. Good. Also, the kit that I made for you will include this stainless steel cup. This thing is bomb-proof. That's why I chose this specific one. For the other reason I chose this one is because it nests with your Grail system. Now, if you have to boil water, you can grab water in this and you can boil it. If you have to cook food, if you have to cook an animal, you can cook it in this. So there's a lot of uses for this. It's also just a container. If you have to collect some things, put this cap on it, put it in your pack, you can do that. There's a ton of different things you can do with a stainless steel cup. So that's why I included it in the kit. And my friends, I think, and I mean this with my whole heart, I think that the kit that I just showed you is more than able to save your life. I wholeheartedly believe that. I pray that if you're watching this video and you're not a missionary, maybe you're a hiker, maybe you're a hunter, that you highly think about making a kit like this for when you go hunting, when you go hiking. You fall out of a tree stand and you got to spend the night in the woods. This kit could save your life. You get lost while hiking a trail, you go off trail and you use the bathroom and you get turned around a little bit. Next thing you know, it's dark. Instead of panicking and running in all types of directions, you can inconveniently camp now. That's what you're doing. You're camping, but it's inconvenient camping. It's not a life or death situation now. Just because you have 6.5 pounds, 7 pounds of gear gives you peace of mind, gives your loved ones peace of mind, and it could really help out I pray this video blessed you. And like I said, I really felt like I wasn't able to demonstrate some things the way I would have liked to, especially the knots. So when I get a friend over here, I'm going to make videos, and I'm going to put them in this description box. I'm going to make videos specifically tying all 4 knots that I showed you, specifically putting up the ridgeline and doing stuff like that. Maybe making a more involved pre-made ridgeline, just so you guys can see the why behind the what of every single little thing we do with that stuff. But I pray this video blesses you. It's hard to explain so many things in such a short amount of time. I think this video is going to be 45 minutes or so. It's hard. If you want more training, hit us up in the description below, and I'll get you some information on that. Love you guys. God bless.